When you got this offer to go to FNATIC, where you qualified with H2K, but then at the time, like, if people don't know, H2K wasn't a massive gaming organisation. Like, they were just like a mid-tier one in Europe. So it's understandable why if you get the offer to go to FNATIC, you would do that. In fact, I've even told this story before, so we won't go too deep into it, because I know it sounds mental, but it is real. That I, in theory, could have been your coach for this split, right? But actually, I'll tell you straight up, mate, when I heard that they were like, oh, we're getting this, like, Korean fucking sob, and then that guy who was shitting LCK for the jungler, and then, like, Febiven, I was like, I'm out, peace. See, listen, you guys have a great time with that. Like, you know, try and find someone else. And I actually even told FNATIC, like, I'd just put an ad online and just say, is there anyone out there good? And that's actually how they got DeLa, by the way. But the point I'm making here is, like, I know now everyone will claim that, like, oh, that FNATIC team was so talented and good. But, like, dude, when that team was being built, those were, you guys, you were, like, vaguely known. Obviously, Yellowstar stayed. Steelback was nobody. Like, at the time, that lineup was not supposed to be super good. So, like, when you came into this, did you actually know this was going to be a good team? What was it like getting the offer to FNATIC? I mean, it's one thing to join FNATIC, right? If I'm joining, and, you know, they've still got Soaz and Reckless and all these, that's different. If I'm joining, it's just fresh players and one old player. That could be intimidating. You might not know if it's going to work. What was it like?
I mean, in terms of joining the team, obviously, when they messaged me, I was, like, really excited. I couldn't, like, believe it. And I was like, I couldn't sleep at night. And obviously because it's FNATIC, right? And they are, like, the team that I guess everyone wants to play for. I should want to play for, because they're a team that's been at the top for very long, and they have, like, a mentality that like, they really invest into winning, and they show that with what they're building. And maybe some years more than others, but they always try to. I know how Patrick thinks. I know he's like a competitive guy, and these are people that I can relate to, you know. And yeah, I mean, it's just really exciting. And just about the roster, I mean, I didn't know anything, but I didn't care. Like, I knew how good I was, and I was just focusing on me. And just, I don't know, this was just very exciting to also play with another team, right? Like, so it's just the beginning and getting to know other people, 2 Koreans. I don't know, just, like, I guess kind of getting out of my comfort zone, which I didn't really identify at the time, but if I look back on it now, I think it was, like, the right move. So there was, like, no hesitation or anything, just felt like the play.
If one thing people always forget about that story of that team is because the summer split was the perfect one where you went 18-0 and then won the split, right? People forget that the whole reason why that was epic is because the spring, when you guys didn't have Reckless and it was still Steelback, was the one where it wasn't until the playoffs that you became the best team. And even then it was super close to win over Unicorns of Love. And at the time, remember, SK was going into the playoffs as in theory the best team, and Forgiven was the MVP and all that jazz. So, like, at the time, no one knew yet how good this team was. You were a top team, but so was, like, for example, your ex team, H2K was very good. There was a bunch of good teams back then, right? In the first split with this team, how would you describe, like, the level of the team? Like, for example, were you, like, dominating scrims? Were you actually the best team the whole time, in your opinion?
In Spring Split?
Yeah.
Wait, this was Origin as well, right?
Origin was in summer. They were still in Challenger in spring.
What happened in spring?
Spring was the one where I think you were, like, maybe something like third going into playoffs, and then in playoffs, you beat Unicorns of Love in 5 games in the final.
I mean, yeah, I mean, this, I will have to look up the stats, but I don't think we were, like, that insane or anything. I mean, we were, like, I think we had our style, like, we figured out our style, like, really fast, and everyone was really aggressive, and we just had, like, the right mix. Obviously, scrims are scrims, right? Like, you're never gonna win every scrim, because scrims are just so different than real matches. But I mean, I would say we were just, I think, like, DeLa did a really good job bringing us together, and we had Yellowstar, who was, like, shot calling everything, which basically means that the rest didn't have to say much. Like, it was like I have 2 Koreans on top who are just talking fucking Korean the whole game, which is perfectly fine. And then I'm just playing my own game, which it's my strength. And then Steelback is just chilling with Yellowstar, while meanwhile Yellowstar is like shot calling the whole game from beginning to end.
Sure.
And then, yeah, I mean, it's just, and obviously he was like really, like such a good figure for us because he was like way older than everybody and like had so much experience. So it was pretty nice.
On that note, though, on the Yellowstar angle, that's one thing I've actually tried to make people aware of on a lot of my shows, is because the problem is, because the last high-profile moment in his career was when he joined TSM, and he got flamed by a bunch of the TSM members, where they were like, oh, he didn't even do anything, like, he wasn't even a shot caller or anything. Like, it's made people think that, like, it was, like, Raid Over or something that was, like, the genius of this FNATIC team, or, you know, DeLa just did it all as a coach. But, like, all I'll tell people is, I've actually heard some of the comms, and I had spies within these teams who told me what people are like, and I basically heard exactly what you just said, Febiven. I heard that in this FNATIC team, it was like Yellowstar just had like full control, basically. Like everyone just listened to him, and as you say, it's like it's like he had no fucking fog of war on the map. He was just reading the whole thing. Like, right now we're going to rotate to here. Like, watch out in this scenario. Like, I heard it was insane.
It was really insane. Looking back at it, it was really insane. And now I understand why sometimes he got so frustrated. But in the moment, I got frustrated because he got frustrated. But shot calling every fucking game from scrims to real matches in high pressure situations. If things go wrong, shit really goes wrong because you're like responsible, right?
Sure.
And then you have to. Sometimes when he would make something would go wrong, he would always take other responsibility, and sometimes he wouldn't be able to like handle it. But now I can understand why he would why he got so frustrated sometimes. But he also stayed. Like most of the time, he was really stable. Like he knew exactly what he wanted, what he needed, and it was very nice.
Since you were talking earlier about like, you know, like a young person's ego and stuff, if you win it wasn't called LEC, but we'll just keep calling it that because it's too annoying to keep changing the name. So when you won the LEC, the first split you came in, did your ego pop off? Did you think like, oh, I always knew I was this shit. Well, I'm here now. Like, did you really think that when you won already and you were going straight to MSI?
No way. No, totally not. I was not so full of myself. I was not full of myself at all. I was very shy and yeah, I guess I was confident, but I'm not like outspokenly confident. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
Deep in myself, I am, but I never knew how to kind of. Yeah, I never really spoke it out to the world.
When you went to MSI, right, I know every pleb wants me to ask you that, like, boring-ass question, like, oh my god, you solo killed Faker, but here's the thing, right, Febiven, I might be wrong with my guess here, but I feel like we've got to sort of, like, burst the bubble of that hype, because the problem is this, mate, there's two factors. One, everyone forgets, I'm pretty sure you fucking lost the game where you solo killed Faker twice, and then secondly, listen, that series sounds great when I say it went to 5 games. That 5th game was one of the most fucking brutal stomps of a Korean team on any Western team I've ever seen. That was the one where they just like fucking triple buffed your jungler and like fucking just dominate. Like from the beginning of the game till the end, they just put on like a masterclass. So give me some thoughts on this series. Because listen, on the one hand, at the time, nobody was beating the Korean teams in series. So to even go to game 5 was like epic at the time. And at the time, yeah, nobody outplayed Faker. That almost never happened. So that was fucking hype. But what was it like from your perspective? What was this series like? It must have been like a massive jump up in level.
I mean, now we're going back. I mean, this is a really long time ago, right? Like, obviously, I didn't expect to win or anything. I just, I think when we were scrimming them, they were always beating us. So we were having like very hard time. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone, I mean, at least I didn't really think. I mean, we had a chance, but it was like very low. But I guess I just tried my best, and obviously, like, I don't really remember the games exactly, but I think the games were really hype. And it was like afterwards, everyone was like really fucking sad that we lost, and it was so close, and like everyone was like focusing on their own stuff, and like if I did this better, and I was probably the same. But yeah, I mean, that's
You
how it
weren't
went.
popping off when you solo kill Faker? You weren't like, yeah, that's right, I can kill anyone, fuck this bitch.
I mean, it already happened in scrims before.
Okay, alright.
You know
Okay,
what?
just old
You know,
news for you, I guess,
you
right?
know what happened, right? Like we were, there was like this backstage, and it
Yeah,
was like really scuffed, and everyone had like their own little tent, basically.
right.
And we were scrimming SKT for the first time, and DeLa was standing behind me, and then I killed him, and then I like looked, I just turned my chair around, and then I just gave him like a fist bump, and
Okay,
I was so happy I couldn't focus anymore, and then yeah, that was like in scrims, so it
sure.
was leading up to the real game.
Right, in the next split, when you did the perfect 18 and 0, which to me is still one of the most impressive feats anyone's ever done. I know it was best of ones, but even so, like to just not drop a best of one is fucking really hard. There's a reason why not many teams in any region go and defeat it. Right, one of the interesting things is this is obviously what got a lot of the attention to DeLa as the coach. And I remember you made some comment at the time, which I feel like probably has warped people's memory of this period, where you said some sort of ominous comment like I have to like ask permission to even have like Red Bull or something when I'm like playing the fucking game and that. So it made it sound like DeLa was super harsh, or he was like controlling every aspect. What was it like to have DeLa as a coach? Like, was he bringing something fresh from outside? Was he really strict? What was he like?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I think he was really strict. I remember, obviously, sodas were perma-banned, right, from the house, from the office, so you're not allowed to have any sugar drinks or have any candy, or basically, yeah, just like fucking just grab a Coke and get a pizza and just eat it in front of your PC, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I remember going outside after scrims with Steelback because he was also a smoker at the time. And we would always just go to the shop after scrims, buy 1 liter of Coke, and just like drink it before we get up. We just hide it in our jackets,
Okay.
And I think he brought really good structure. He was very like, I don't know. I was like inting solo queue games, and he was like calling me to his PC and like asking me, why the fuck are you inting in solo queue games like multiple times? And it was like, I got really frustrated in a scrim once, and I was like, I don't remember if I was like being passive aggressive. I think I was being passive aggressive to Spirit, and then he like always would call me to the kitchen because there would be the one-on-ones, and then I knew if I would have to go to the kitchen, I would get fucked. Like I would get like he would like play me or like question me, you know what I
Okay.
mean? And then obviously I got like defensive, right? Um, but yeah, it was like really working hard, like really sleeping like very little, and like putting all his effort into it, and it was very hard to deal with at the time. I think it would have been way harder if we actually lost a lot more, but we actually won everything, and he was like, I still think he was annoying, and I think all my teammates thought the same because we were always talking about it. Like it was the same with Reckless. Like me and him were like very annoyed by how we had to behave because he was always questioning us why we were winning everything, and we were just like, why is he asking so much stuff? Why is he trying? Like, why is he being annoying when we're winning everything? And like, why can't we just fucking have fun and joke and. But yeah, that kind of showed like the difference in age, and like he was like already older, and we were just young kids just trying to have fun.
Did stuff like that, like obviously to an outsider, that's going to sound extreme because this was actually the era when, yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, the previous FNATIC players used to literally just be partying like before they fucking played games the next day and stuff. So they were like pretty out of control. Like, do you think doing stuff like banning sodas and stuff and being a little bit like, was there like a logic behind what he was doing? Like, do you look back now and does it make more sense?
Yeah, I think it does make sense. I think he's someone that's very extreme, and if I am a person that I like balance. Obviously, drinking fucking Red Bull every day is like gonna hurt you more than good, right? But I think the with the personality that he is, I think it made it very hard for us, because it was like coming from home, drinking fucking 5 iced teas every day, some cokes here and there, some candy, going to a gaming house, and then like suddenly it's like banned, and then you have to like sneak it in your fucking jacket. That's obviously it will be like a shock to you, right? Because you're like, at least I was this like very entitled, like spoiled. I can do whatever the fuck I want,
Of course.
you know. And then I mean, yeah, it's hard to deal with for not just me, also my teammate.
When you went to Worlds that year, people will forget it now, but that was actually one of the first Western teams that people really did say, like, maybe this team can win Worlds. Like, maybe it's possible. And obviously, you guys did go all the way to the semis. Obviously, the team you played, Coup Tigers, later Rocks Tigers, was a very good team. They were good for many years. Like, did you also think the same? Do you think it was possible maybe to win Worlds that year?
I think it was possible. Yeah, I think it very unlikely that we would have won against SKT. Because they were really fucking insane. Like towards the end of the tournament, and we were scrimming them, and our win rate just kept getting lower and lower and lower. I just think they had like a mental advantage at that point, because they already been to Worlds before that, right?
Sure.
And they, I guess, kind of knew better how to handle it. Also, like Korean, some players are just machines that they don't get emotional. They are just, I don't know. It's like if they lose 20 fucking solo queue games in a row, they're not gonna, I don't know, get tilted. They're just gonna play. Or like if they lose 10 scrims in a row, they're still like really try hard, even if it's like the most important time of their, like during the tournament, right? There's a lot of pressure.
Sure.
And like, yeah, I don't think we would have won against them. I mean, obviously, if they would have choked, then we could have won, right? But if we were not able to beat the Tigers, then there was no way. You probably saw like after the first game, everyone was like done already.
Yes. Yeah. Right. What about this then? Since you were just talking there about the Korean players, you obviously got to play with a whole bunch of Korean players in your team. So actually, the first couple I want to ask about is from this year, which is Rainover and Nahuni. Right. Obviously, like you say, that's also something else I heard, which is I heard that it was sort of like part of the reason why Hooney was able to, as a rookie, be one of the best players is because basically him and Rainover just worked together and just talked in Korean, and then they just sort of did their own shit, and I assume DeLa just sort of interfaced with them before the game. Like, what was it actually like to play with them? Like, did you have any clue what Hooney was trying to do, or like how those two were going to play?
I mean, Huni just, this guy is like, he just came in and he's like very creative, very, like, so much energy, spends all his hours into the game, and was already so ahead of all the other top laners. So that's why we got a lot of wins. The same for Rainover. Like they just had this play style that was just like they were just ahead in terms of the game. Like they just knew everything a step faster, and like they were able to communicate that in. They were able to like execute level 2 ganks, level 3 ganks. Just very efficient, like strong mental. Like even if Huni would die 5 times, he would still like carry a game, and like they would never FF. They would never give up the game. They would always try, and I think that mentality is like was like very rare at the time. And for us having 2 players like that, with like a carry top laner that was just like teleporting across the whole map with Hecarim and shit. It's just it makes it so much easier to play, and I think we just had a lot of stability on the rest of the map that kind of yeah, I mean, helped them carry, I guess.